morning, grade 10. Okay, so before we start the class, we will first have the opening prayer. Trisha, can you lead the prayer? Okay, thank you. Amen. Okay, so again, good morning. And before we formally start the class, let me first check your attendance. So kindly say uwu if you are here. So just I can recognize your presence. Okay, let us first have Anievas Berna M. Okay. Bore Rachel Ann H. Okay, you're there. Candelaria Trisha M. Okay. How Mary Joyce Ann L. Okay, good morning. Of Laria Dulce I. Okay. Sir Abigail R. Oh, there you are, Abby. Villarreal Milaflor C. Okay. Villesa Via Joy G. Okay. Vito Laika R. And lastly, Zara Mariel Joy P. Okay, I'm glad to know you are all present here today. So for that, let's have 3 claps, let's have 3 stamps, and say girl power. Okay, are you ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Girl power. Okay, again, I'm glad to note that you are all present here today. So let us now proceed to the topic that we are going to delve on for today's class. Okay, as you can see, we have here 2 flags. A flag indicating the start and a flag indicating the end. So we will be going through this route in order to finish everything. But before that, let us first have an activity. So let us first have your activity. So this activity is entitled Love Dub Task. So I know you have the idea of what does love dub means. So, as you all know, love dub is the sound of the heartbeat. It is not dug-dug or any other else because scientifically it is love dub. Love being the first sound and the dub being the second sound. And just a quick fact, so love is, the first sound is caused by the ventricular contraction or the systole, and the dub being the output of ventricular relaxation or diastole. Okay, so in this activity, I will be giving each one of you a heart, which is this one, and in here, you will be writing what or who makes your heart beats fast. Okay, it can either be, so who or which, who or what rather, meaning it can either be a person or a thing. So as for example, your crush, your inspiration. But to give you an example, so as for me, as for ma'am, the one that makes my heart beats fast. Can you guess what? Who? Oh no, I don't have a crush. Okay, so the one that makes my heart beats fast is coffee. Coffee, because we all know that coffee is a stimulant. The reason why it can increase heart rate. And also, I always needed coffee because I have so many things to accomplish. That is why. Okay, so I will now be giving you the heart. So get 1 and pass. Okay, kindly get 1 and pass. So I will be giving you a minute to finish the task, and later on we'll be having the sharing of what you have all written. So 1 minute starts now. Okay class, so are you done? So 1 minute is over, and we will now do the sharing of what you have written in your hearts. Okay, let us first have Dulce. What have you written in your heart, Dulce? Okay, it says frog. Because you are afraid of frog, the reason why it can make your heart beats fast. Okay, thank you. Next we'll have Joycey. Joycey, what have you written? Oh, If it's frog for Dulce, as for Joycey, it's cockroach. Okay, I got it as well because you are afraid of cockroach. Oh my. I'll be assuring there's no cockroach in our classroom, okay? Okay, as for the last one, we'll have Laika. Laika, can you share what you have written in your heart? Oh, something extraordinary. So it is neither a frog, a cockroach, nor any other animal because it's a person. As for Laika, it is JC. Your crush? Oh, okay. So stay in love. Stay in love. So thank you for your cooperation, class, for this activity. So it's fun and glad to know who are these persons and what are these things that makes each of your heartbeats fast. Okay, so thank you once again. But if you are now wondering why are we doing this kind of activity, this is because it is the very topic which we will be talking about for today's class. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am now presenting to you the topic for today, which is no other than the heart and the circulatory system. So I knew for a fact that you have a background knowledge on this topic, but I will be adding up more and more knowledge for this afternoon. Okay, so since we finished the first activity, let us now proceed with the discussion proper. So we will first talk about the circulatory system. So in here, we have the definition and the function of the circulatory system. So Marielle, can you read the first, what was written in the first box? Okay, thank you. Go on. Okay, thank you. So as what written in there, so it is a body system which transports nutrients, respiratory gases. So respiratory gases, this include the oxygen and the metabolic products. So metabolic products, these are the compound produced by the cells and is excreted to the extracellular medium. So examples of which is carbon dioxide. So all of these are being transported throughout the living organism, permitting integration among various tissues. So integration meaning coordination of the different tissues that comprises the body of an organism. So as you can see, it is the transport system. So similar to our buses and other vehicles, which transports passengers to the different parts of the country. So the circulatory system transport many materials throughout our body. So you can also derive from the term itself, circulatory, circulate. Okay, so note as well that the process of circulation includes the intake of metabolic materials, the conveyance of these materials throughout the organism, and lastly, the return of harmful byproducts to the environment. So note that the circulation that is being regulated by the circulatory system does not only include the conveyance of these many materials throughout the living organism. This is because the circulation must include as well the intake and the secretion of harmful materials. Okay? So, the circulatory system, moreover, the circulatory system is composed of different body organs, and this include the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood which flows through the blood vessels. Okay, so we will be delving deeper onto this body organs as we proceed further. So moving forward, since we have talked about already the circulatory system, we will be now having the structures of the human heart and its individual function. So just to give you an overview, so the heart serves as a pump to circulate the blood. And I know for a fact that you know what a pump is because you have that in your homes, right? Okay, you're correct. The one from which you get the water you used every day. Okay, that is the pump. So the heart works similar to that. It allows the blood to be circulated throughout the human body. So we have here a diagram, and we will be talking about the structures in here one by one. So let's start with the aorta in here. So we will be skipping as for now the arteries because we have a separate discussion as for that. So let us have the aorta. So the aorta is the main artery that carries blood away from the heart. So this blood that is carried away from the heart specifically passes through the aortic valve. So that is aorta. Next, before we discuss the structures in the left portions, we will first have the structures on the right portions. So let us first now have the superior vena cava or the SVC. So we have here the label from the upper body, and that is because the superior vena cava carries the blood coming from the upper body, which comprises of the head, the neck, the upper chest, and the arms. So, note as well that the superior vena cava is the major vein in the upper body. Next to that is the right pulmonary artery. So, this one. So, it has no label because it has a counterpart on the other side, which is this one. So, it is the right pulmonary artery and it has the label to right lung. So, that is because the right pulmonary artery carries blood coming from the right side of the heart to the right lung. So, still away from the heart. Next to that is the superior node or the sinoatrial node or SN. So what is the function of this superior node? So the superior node is denoted as the pacemaker of the heart. And by the term pacemaker, this only means that it regulates the heartbeat. So how does it do that? So the superior node sends electrical impulses which then start the beating of the heart. So that is for the SN. Next, we have the right pulmonary vein. So as you can see, it has there are two. The reason why it is pulmonary veins. So we have here from the right lung. So the right pulmonary veins are the vessels in or associated has a function during the pulmonary circulation. So these are the vessels of the pulmonary circulation. And since I have talked about the pulmonary circulation, just to give you another fact you should know. So the human body performs two kinds of circulation. So we have the pulmonary circulation, which is to and from the lungs, and the other one is systemic circulation, which is to and from the rest of the body. Okay, so aside from being the vessels of the pulmonary circulation, specifically the function of the right pulmonary vein is that it carries oxygenated blood from the lungs towards the heart, and on the other hand, it carries the oxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Okay, so that is the function of the right pulmonary veins. So next we have the atrioventricular node. So the one inferior to the superior node. So it is also denoted as AVN. So if the superior node is the pacemaker of the heart, this structure serves as the electrical gatekeeper between the atria and the ventricles. So specifically, it introduces a delay in the atrial and ventricular excitation, thereby allowing an efficient ventricular filling. So what is this ventricular filling that we are talking about? So the ventricular filling causes the mitral and the tricuspid valve to snap shut, thereby allowing the first heart sound, which is the lobe. Okay, so that is the function of the AVN. Next, we have the right atrium in here. So the right atrium is one of the four chambers of the heart, and specifically, it is the right upper chamber. Okay, so the right atrium, so it receives blood that is low in oxygen, and it empties this blood that is low in oxygen in the right ventricle. So again, it receives blood that is low in oxygen. Okay, next to the right atrium is the tricuspid valve. So PIV, tricuspid valve. So what is the function of this tricuspid valve? So it simply separates the right upper and lower chambers of the heart. So it separates the right atrium and the right ventricle. As simple as that. Next, we have the right ventricle. So this is also one of the four chambers of the heart, and specifically, it is the right lower chamber. So what is the function of these structures? So the right ventricle pumps oxygen-depleted blood into the lungs. So it pumps the blood coming from the right atrium towards the lungs. So that is the function of the right ventricle. And now we have the inferior vena cava. So if we have the superior vena cava in the upper portion, we have now the inferior vena cava in the lower portion. And that is because inferior means lower and superior means higher. So we have here from the lower body. And that is because the inferior vena cava carries the blood coming from the lower limbs and the abdominopelvic region of the body all the way to the heart. So the IVC is also denoted as the largest vein in the human body. Okay, it's the largest vein in the human body. Next, going to the other portion. So we have the aorta. Next, we have the left pulmonary artery. So it is the counterpart of the right pulmonary artery. So what is the function of this structure? So the left pulmonary artery carries the blood coming from the left side of the heart to the left lung. And note as well that this structure is of great significance, and that is because it is the site of gas exchange. So, to further elaborate that concept, this is because the pulmonary artery divides into many smaller blood vessels, which eventually reaches the capillaries surrounding the alveoli, which is the specific site of gas exchange. The reason why it is also denoted as the site of gas exchange. So, that is the left pulmonary artery. Now, we have the left pulmonary veins. So, what is the function of the left pulmonary vein? So, it has an essential role in respiration, and that is because it receives the blood coming from the alveoli as it goes back to the heart. So, it eventually transfers this blood coming from the alveoli into the left atrium. So that is the function of the left pulmonary vein. Next, we have the left atrium. And this is also one of the four chambers of the heart. Specifically, it is the left upper chamber of the heart. So what is the function of the left atrium? So the function of the left atrium is that it serves as the holding chamber of the blood coming from the lungs. And also it acts as the pump in order for the blood coming from the lungs to be transported to the different parts of the heart. So that is the function of the left atrium. Now we have the mitral or bicuspid valve. So what's the function of this one? So it is a small flap in the heart which stops the blood that is flowing the wrong way. So as you can see, it can be compared to a traffic enforcer that stops the cars that is going through the wrong lane, okay? So that is the function of the mitral valve. So it stops the blood that is going the wrong ways. And the mitral valve will be saying, oops, that's not the right way, okay? So apart from that fact, So the mitral or the bicuspid valve also separates the left atrium and the left ventricle. So talking about the left ventricle, which is the next one. So what is the function of the left ventricle? So it is being said that this structure is very important, and that is because it connects nearly all the organ systems in the human body. And that is because it is the one pumping oxygenated blood to the different body systems comprising the human body. And with that, we can therefore say that it has to function properly, because a failure in this specific structure might cause the impairment of all the other organ systems. Okay? So that is how important the left ventricle is. The next one will be the Purkinje fibers. So these are network of fibers that receive conductive signals originating at the AVN or atrioventricular node. And also, these network of fibers activate the left and right ventricles by directly stimulating the ventricular myocardium. So if you are wondering why is it called that way, that is because it is named after the one who discovered it, no other than John Evangelista Purkinje, and the discovery was in the year 1839. Okay, the next one is the septum. So, if you will be hearing septum as we talked about heart, this only means division. So, the septum, it divides the atria and the ventricles in order for the blood flow to properly happen. So, in order for the blood to flow accordingly. So, we have interatrial septum in between the atria and interventricular septum in between the ventricles. And the aorta, which we have talked a while ago. So, that is the structures, those are the structures of the human body. However, as you all know, these are not the entirety of the structures of the human heart. So, there are some which are not included in here. So, I wanted you to take note of this additional structures of the heart. The first one will be the fossa ovalis. So the fossa ovalis is a depressed structure of the human heart which comes in varying shapes. So it is located in the inferior aspect, somewhere right here, inferior aspect of the right interatrial septum. So that is fossa ovalis. The next one is the chordae tendineae. So chordae tendineae is simply the heartstrings, and these heartstrings are the strong fibrous connections in between the valve leaflets and the papillary muscles. So these heartstrings are being held in place by the papillary muscles. So it is not shown in here, but it is somewhere in there. Similar to a string. They look like similar to a string. The next one will be the trabecular cardiae. So these are the muscular ridges that crisscross and projects from the inner walls of the heart ventricles. So it is important as it ensures efficient pumping of the blood. So next to this is the moderator band. The moderator band, on the other hand, is serves as a protective mechanism, and this is because it resists the overdistension of the right ventricle. The next will be the pulmonary valve. So this valve is somewhat different from the rest, and that is because this is a one-way valve, which means that the blood cannot flow back to into the heart through this valve. So it is one way. And apart from that, this structure closes when the pressure drops inside the heart. So the next one will be the papillary muscles. So what does this papillary muscles do? Apart from the fact that we have mentioned it as I discussed about the chordae tendineae, apart from keeping the chordae tendineae in its place, so the papillary muscles have an important role in normal cardiac function, and that is because it prevents a leakage through the tricuspid valve during the systole or the first heart sound. So, lastly would be the structures comprising the wall which guards the heart. So, the heart wall comprises of three structures, and these are the pericardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. So, the pericardium is the outermost layer, and hence it serves as the protective mechanism of the heart. The muscular middle layer will be the myocardium, and the endocardium will be the innermost layer of the wall of the heart. So those are all the structures comprising the human heart and its individual functions. And now, let us move on with the three kinds of blood vessels. So as you can see, we have talked about this as we talked about heart, but just to give you a precise explanation on these blood vessels, let us have this one. So as you all know, there are three kinds of blood vessels, and these are the arteries, the veins, and the capillary network or the capillary. So what is the function of these three? So the function of the artery is that it carries blood away from the heart. And the blood which is being carried by the artery is oxygenated. So it carries blood away from the heart. So away. So note as well that the artery have thick walls with muscle tissues. On the other hand, when we say veins, so these are the blood vessels that carries blood towards the heart. So it is contrary to arteries which carries blood away. So the veins carries blood towards the heart, and this blood which are being carried by veins are deoxygenated. So in comparison to the artery, the vein have thinner walls and it uses valve in order to keep the blood flowing. So what is the function on the other hand of the capillary? So the capillary is the smallest kind of blood vessel, and its main function is to transport blood between the artery and the vein. The reason why it is in the middle part of the two. So as you can see, we have here additional the arteriole and the venule. So what are these two? So the arterioles and the venules are small diameter blood vessels which allow blood flow to and from the capillary beds. So to the capillary beds, the arterioles, and the venules from the capillary beds. And those are the kinds of blood vessels to which or from wherein the blood flow as it circulates throughout the human body. Okay, so now we will be moving forward with the blood flow or the blood circulation, specifically the 10-step cycle blood flow, because for your information, there are other versions of this cycle which can either be less or greater than 10. But as for this discussion, we will be utilizing the 10-step cycle. So we will be utilizing our diagram in here. So being a cycle, keep in mind that the cycle or the process can start at any point. However, for the sake of this discussion, we will be utilizing the right atrium as the starting point. So, let us begin. So, the first step is that the blood will enter the right atrium. So, that is the first step. And the second step is that the blood coming from the right atrium will pass through the tricuspid valve in order for it to reach the right ventricle. So, that is the second step. And when the heart beats, the blood in the right ventricle will be pushed through the pulmonic valve in order for it to reach the pulmonary artery. So that will be the third step. And as for the fourth step, the blood will be carried from the heart to the lungs, where it will be picking up oxygen. So remember, the pulmonary artery being the site of gas exchange. So that is the fourth step. The fifth step is that the blood will be returning back from the lungs to the heart through the pulmonary vein. So that will be the fifth step. And as for the sixth step, the blood in the pulmonary vein will then enter the left atrium. So that will be the sixth step. And as for the seventh step, the blood being contained in the left atrium will be passing through the mitral or the bicuspid valve in order for it to reach the left ventricle. So that is the seventh step. And as for the eighth step, we will be having a U-turn. And that is because the blood in the left ventricle will be passing through the aortic valve in order for it to reach the aorta. So there will be a U-turn in the eighth step. So as for the ninth step, so in here, the vena cavas will be functioning. So the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. So this vena cavas will be receiving the blood coming from the rest of the body back to the heart. So just as a recall, the superior vena cava will be carrying the blood coming from the upper body, while the inferior vena cava will be carrying the blood coming from the lower body. So that is the ninth step. And as for the last and the 10th step, so the blood present or being carried by the vena cavas will be entering the right atrium in order to start the cycle anew. So that is the 10-step cycle blood flow. So starting from the right atrium and ending as well at the right atrium. So after we have talked about the blood flow, we will now be having the importance of having a proper blood flow. So what is the importance of having a proper blood flow? So these are as follows. So first, it is key for maintaining optimal health. Second, it ensures the continuous flow of blood and oxygen throughout the body, which is essential for proper organ functioning. Because remember, these two are the materials needed by the different body organs in order for each of these to function properly. Next is that it also aids faster wound healing, and lastly, it keeps the brain sharp and the heart healthy. So to summarize all of this, the importance of having a proper blood flow is that it will be keeping an individual healthy. So you must always ensure that your blood is properly flowing throughout the different parts of your body. Okay? So before I finally end the discussion proper, I wanted to give you an analogy of the circulatory system and also 3 interesting and fun facts about the circulatory system. So as for the analogy, so the function or the mechanism of the circulatory system can be compared to the water delivery system in a community. So the way or the means on how the water is being transported from a source to the different members of the community. So if that would be the analogy or the analogy, so the heart will be serving as the city pump, the source of the water. Then, the aorta, being the structure present in the heart, will be the water tower. And as for the parallel distribution pipes, this will be done similar by the arteries, so away from the heart. So arteries, parallel distribution pipes. And lastly would be the arterioles, serving similar to the faucets. Okay, as you can see, we have the city pump, water tower, distribution pipes, and faucets. So the means on how the water is being transported to the different houses in the community. So that is an analogy which you can validate if you listened well to my discussion. Okay, as for the 3 interesting and fun facts about the circulatory system, the first one is that, so as for your information, the circulatory system is extremely long, as twice as much as the Earth's circumference. So, is there anyone here who knows the circumference of the Earth? Anyone? Okay, yes, Dulce. Okay, so that is correct. The Earth's circumference is 40,075 kilometers. And if the length of the circulatory system is twice, so it's 80. No, it's much more than that. Because if you are going to stretch out the blood vessels comprising the circulatory system, you will be measuring a length of 100,000 kilometers. So twice as much and much as that, the Earth's circumference, we can say. So that is the first fact. The next one will be, so the normal resting heart rate is inversely proportional to the body size, which means that bigger body size have lower or slower normal resting heart rate. So as for that, so the adult human, similar to adult sheep, can have 75 beats per minute, resting heart rate of 75 beats per minute or BPM, while a blue whale, which is comparatively bigger, can only have 5 beats per minute. So as you can see, they are inversely proportional. And as for the last one, the end of a relationship can really break someone's heart, and that is because we have this broken heart syndrome or the stress cardiomyopathy, wherein there is the temporary weakening of the heart muscles, and also the chordae tendineae, which we have talked a while ago, are being cut somehow. So that is the broken heart syndrome. So it is indeed valid to say that you are heartbroken. So those are the 3 interesting fun facts about the circulatory system, and note that I got all those from the website Live Science. So this would be the end of the entire discussion proper. And let us now proceed with another activity. And this activity is entitled Make an Analogy of Me. Okay? So in this activity, you will be making an analogy of the blood flow. So similar to what I have discussed. And think of a creative way as you present it to the class. So keep reminded that the primary ideas revolving around the topic must be considered. And as for the groupings, so the row 1, the first row, will be the group 1. The second row will be the group 2. And the third row will be the group 3. So I will be giving you 30 minutes to accomplish the task. And as for the criteria, kindly take note of the following. So we have appropriateness of the analogy, 40%, overall presentation, delivery, another 40%, creativity, 15%, and lastly, audience impact with 5%, having a total of 100%. So again, you will be making an analogy of the blood flow, and you will be presenting it to the class in a creative way. So your 30 minutes start now. Okay, class, so 30 minutes is over. So we will now be having the group presentations. And as for your presentation, you can present it at your respective locations. So there, the group 1, group 2, and then the group 3. Okay? Okay, thank you, group 1. So as for the group 1, their analogy is the transport system. So similar to what I have talked a while ago. So transport system being the passengers as the blood. Okay? Thank you, group 1. And a round of applause for them. Next, we have group 2. Thank you, group 2. So as for the group 2, it is courier. So it was another good idea. So as for the group 2, let us also give them 5 claps. 1, 2, 3, go! Okay, thank you again, group 2. And as for the third group, you can now present. Okay, so thank you, group 3. And as for the group 3, your idea is the water cycle. So, another great idea and somehow different from the first two. So, similar to the first two, let's have 5 claps for the group 3. Okay, so I wanted to thank everyone as you cooperate in this activity, and I am very happy that you have creatively presented the ideas that you had with your group. So the first group showed their idea through a skit, the second group through a poem, and the last one through a song with a rap. So it was very nice to witness all of your presentations. So again, for everyone, let's have a round of applause. So as for the rating sheets, I will just be giving it to the group leaders, and they will be the ones to announce the rating of each group to the group members. Okay, so once again, thank you for cooperating with our activity. So for the next agenda, so kindly write this down for your assignment next meeting. So you are to list and characterize 20 bones found in the human body. So also kindly familiarize yourselves as well with the ones which you will be listing, as it will be helping you a lot as we go on with our next discussion. And down to the very last part, so before we proceed to the next topic, next meeting, we will have first the quiz of what we have discussed today. Okay? So any questions? Yes, any questions you would like to know, you would like to clarify about the topic? So, if none, so that will be all for today. Once again, good morning class, and goodbye.